Alright guys, Resident Evil Requiem dropped last night at midnight. I have been playing it, I love it. It has the greatest hits of the whole Resident Evil series, done in fresh new ways, and it's incredible. I've really been loving it. I managed to get a few hours in. Spoilers ahead. So the first main thing that I was really happy with is that I feel like they finally found that balance that they've been looking for the last several games, and that they've been trying to find a tone. RE7 was amazing, but it was so gritty and so dark and so stressful and filthy that like it for some people it became like, you know, they just didn't want to play it because it was such a stressful, relatively grounded situation. Likewise, you know, Resident Evil 8 was awesome. It was really like a crazy romp, crazy adventure, almost too whimsical to be dark at all times. And they fine-tuned so many things, like Victor, the new villain, who's introduced pretty early on and, you know, established as a villain. They nailed it. Like he's an eccentric, he's a strange genius. He's physically like the size of Mr. X or something like that. And yeah, properly like intimidating. It's like he's so gross you don't like want him to touch your character necessarily. But even the voice acting is so much better. Like the American accents in Village, I kind of pulled me out of it. RE7 had great voice acting, no complaints. But I would say that this is like next level, just really good performances, like believable performances. In terms of the facial expressions too, the animation and the voice acting performances, this is maybe one of the most believable Resident Evils ever besides like 7. You can choose first person or third person for both Leon and Grace, your two main characters. But they recommend that you specifically have Grace in first person and Leon in third person, and that's what I've been doing, and it is so fun. It really feels like a game that's switching back and forth between you're playing Resident Evil 7, where you're weak, can't really defend yourself that much, just a little bit, and things are coming right at you. You're getting like the jump scares directly to the camera, or even, you know, there have been a fair few jump scares, but I've appreciated them. You know, I feel like they're well paced, and then like, you know, in certain cutscenes, like in first person, you know, a creature will wander into your line of sight, and it's very chilling. Grace's parts as I'm playing it really remind me of Resident Evil 7, where I'm just locked in this big creepy place, and I'm so stressed. I'm checking every corner. I'm being very careful. And then Leon's stuff plays like, you know, Resident Evil 4, or like the 2 remake, or a little like 6. Resident Evil 6 is very unique, but it plays more like that, where you were just like kicking ass, and it's just like a fun. They did all these like really bloody executions now, so like all of Leon's finishers are like it's like a Tarantino film, and that's really incredible too. All right, let's talk about the Porsche sponsorship, because I was really worried about this when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, they better not have a commercial tie-in. But so far, I have to admit, nobody has said the word Porsche. Nobody has like drawn attention to it and been like, hey, Leon, nice car. Is that a Porsche? You know, nobody. They show the car and they make the car look really cool. Like it's the thing that Leon speeds from scene to scene in. But already I think he's left it parked out front. So like until we get to Raccoon City proper, I guess, that's all we've seen of it. You know, Leon basically parked it and continued on. So I'm okay with that. You know, that's a pretty good sponsorship. That's like in the background. That's like when you watch a movie and the character has like a Samsung or an iPhone, you know, that's not too bad. I'm pleasantly surprised with how they tuned everything, how scary it is, how realistic it is versus how fantastical it is. Where you go back and forth between action and like high tension between Leon and Grace. They have definitely so far really nailed like the big monster that you just have to run from. Like there's already some of this footage will show it. Like your first encounter with just a big gross monster is so stressful. It's so creepy. Oh, it even reminded me of like Amnesia: The Dark Descent, because it has like gameplay mechanics where it's like you stay in the light, you can bring a little light with you, but you have to run through the dark sometimes, and then the storm, you know, outside will like knock out the power at the worst possible time. It also reminds me of like the Beneviento part of Resident Evil 8, where, you know, like the power's going out, you gotta get a fuse. That's what I mean when I say that they did all their greatest hits. You know, the main baddie, he really feels like Menendez. I think that's his name, or maybe Mendez. Some variant on that in Resident Evil 4, where he's just this big stalker. He's like Nemesis or Mr. X, where he's just like, you can't stop him, and he's a big problem. Yeah, no, I'm so happy how they tune things in. Other things that it reminded me of, where I was like, oh, this is just like the scene from something else in the Resident Evil series. They fine-tuned it, they made it even more fun. You've probably seen in the trailers or gotten to that point in the game already, but like Leon always had to run from chainsaw guys in the previous games. Now we can pick up the chainsaw and start chainsawing, which is pretty awesome. The zombies, for lack of a better term, the zombies are the coolest, I think. I think maybe my favorite in the whole series, because it's like they retain some of their life instincts. Caretakers or servers, you know, staff will like keep kind of doing their jobs. There's a few great reveals. You meet all these different zombie characters now. So it's like there'll be a woman who was a patient, and she used to be an opera singer, almost like a witch from Left 4 Dead, like a singing, screaming monster. Likewise, there'll be like a huge cook in the kitchen, and he's chopping meat, but he's chopping human flesh now. There'll be like staff who will wander over and like turn off lights. There's like a light avoidance thing. They seem to like, a lot of them seem to be light sensitive, which is interesting. Oh man, there's this new like blood collection. There's like this, you upgrade your stuff by like collecting blood from the zombies. And they brought back, oh man, I'm remembering so much. I have to put a pin in each thing. They upgraded the Crimson Head mechanic. So now if you kill a zombie and leave it there, it'll like get back up and it'll be worse, but like in more horrifying ways. And I haven't even gotten that far in the game yet to see that much, but I already got surprised by a zombie that I laid out, getting back up. The Resident Evil 7 scene where Mia, towards the beginning, where Mia like pins you and messes you up, that I would say they did their own version this time with the first zombie that Grace meets, and it is in first person. It is so scary. It is so unnerving. Last night I had to take a break because I was getting so like stressed and worried with how many scary things were happening. But this like cop turns into a monster, and like with this big grin, it's very gory. He's just like climbing all over you and like being very uncanny movements. It also kind of reminded me of like Marguerite from RE7, where he's almost animal or bug-like as he moves. And it's if you're playing in first person, it's just like when Mia attacks you badly, the one where you're like pinned to the wall. It's like that, where it's like you're so cornered and this horrifying thing is like so in your face. Just chef's kiss. It's amazing. It's incredible. I'm enjoying it so much right now. It really feels like the best of like Resident Evil 1, where there are specific zombies and you almost get to know their personalities. You get to know their face. You're like, because they are so hard to kill and they keep coming back and they choke like certain areas. But these zombies can wander a lot more, can go through doors. And because they have like memories of their past life, they really do have different personalities. They have like different themes of why they're mad, why they're attacking you. It's incredible. That's most of all of what I have for initial notes. They brought back the coin system from RE7 where you get like antique coins. I haven't met a merchant yet. I'm not sure if there is a merchant or a vendor in this one. It seems like they are processing the upgrades through like a blood collection system and like blood analysis system that you kind of like deal with yourself. So it's, at least so far, who knows? Once we get to Raccoon City, it might be totally different. But it seems like upgrades are handled by your character at key locations without talking to anybody. And likewise, everything I've had to buy so far, or been able to buy so far, has been bought with antique coins, which are pretty common and just kind of like everywhere in this version of the game. But yeah, I think that's all I have. That's all I've noticed so far. I still haven't even made it to Raccoon City, but I'm so excited. Like I said, it dropped at midnight, and I'm just diving in today, basically. I wanted to get a quick video out just to confirm that this is badass. I'm so happy. I'm so happy Resident Evil has been going through like a renaissance in the past, since 7, arguably, where they've just been putting out bangers. And I would honestly say RE8 is like the weakest of the most recent 3. Like, depending on how much more I end up like enjoying RE9, it might go like, I don't want to rank RE9 over RE7 so early, but yeah, no, just amazing games recently. Yeah, that's all I have. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. I write my commenters back as often as possible, and we're still trying to grow this channel. I appreciate everybody checking in, and I will catch you in the next one.